the show
On the road, okay. This is not a test.
This is not a test.
Yeah, do not try this at home. This is October 17th for those that follow our podcast in 2024. This is the Coffee Break with Mary and Jeff. And as you might have guessed with that title, your hosts today are Mary and Jeff.
And we do actually have some followers now because we actually have our podcast up online.
Yes, it's fun when you start a podcast. You're in a strange environment that you've never been in, and with the help of a few people, you can put it up fairly easily on Spotify and on Apple and the Podbean and several other accounts like YouTube has a podcast channel. And it's kind of a ripple effect. Once people like what they're hearing, then they come back or they start following you. And whenever there's another episode, they're notified. And then one thing happens after another, and we'll be told with the metrics that Podbean gives you how many more people follow you all the time. So
how many followers do we have?
I don't want to say because it's laughable, but we're definitely influencers. I think we're at 72.
72?
Something.
That many people?
I think it's 72 because I've got the whole...
Wow. They must be really bored.
These are people clearly that are either confined to home and can't go anywhere.
Well, they know you. They're your friend.
Yeah. Some of them are incarcerated and they can't go anywhere, so they might as well listen to the podcast. But
wow. When we hit 100, we got to celebrate.
We're going to celebrate. We're going to do a special call-in. I wonder how that would go, if we could do that. Obviously, you can't do a call-in while you're doing the podcast, but there are ways for you guys out there in our listening audience to respond.
Do a live podcast.
Yeah, I'm all up for that. You know me. I feel we're refining what we're saying. I've listened to a bunch of podcasts, and a lot of them are they're personal. Like this is personal, but there's something unrefined about it. And both Mary and I have put together an agenda and a topic list. And what we're going to try to accomplish today is talk a little bit about the broad field of travel, which is still the primary escape that people have from their normal lives and with their families or just by themselves to take off and go anywhere they want as their budget will afford.
Thank you for defining travel for us.
Yeah, I see. I'm failing at a.
We haven't done this in a while because we haven't had an actual coffee break because our office got flooded. We've been out of the office for 2 months, so we're really getting back into everything right now.
Who is it? What Beatles said? Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. Mary's right. We had a flood and we were out of our offices for 2 months. So luckily we had put 8 episodes of Coffee Break in the can. So we're back at it now without missing a beat because these episodes are released one a week.
Every Tuesday, right?
Every Tuesday, that's correct. And so we're going to put down a few more in the next week or two and have a never-ending supply.
Yeah, so don't worry. We'll be here.
And I'm not going to hijack as I've done in the past, for those that have listened.
Oh, is that a criticism?
Of myself.
Really?
You have so much that you can offer, and I just run off with a story.
Well, you are a natural storyteller.
And 30 minutes goes by, and we say, okay, that's a wrap, see you.
No, that's okay. It's okay. We're getting into our groove here.
That is.
And, I mean, it's interesting. I haven't really listened to any of the podcasts, which sounds terrible, but I think I sort of get it, when you hear actors and actresses talking about how they've never seen a show they were in or a movie that they were in, and I always thought that was so strange. You put your heart and your hard work into this thing and you didn't even watch it and people love it, but I get it, I guess, now.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to hear myself.
In one of the Oscar telecasts, Ricky Gervais asked Johnny Depp when he was called up to present an award if he had watched his last pirate movie. And there was a pause because Johnny Depp and Ricky Gervais were standing next to each other. And here was 18 million people watching the show. And Depp just coyly said, "No, I didn't watch it." And the whole audience collapsed because it was such a major hit, Pirates of the Caribbean or whatever it was, and he didn't watch it.
Right. So. I'm just living the podcast. That's all.
That's true. Well, we were gonna. It was a toss-up between doing how certain sentiments and spiritual advice that's given to you along the way affects your life,
which we might still do. I think that's still a good episode, but we gotta.
But travel seemed to be more common to everyone's interests, so here we are, and so I would ask this of you, Mary, when you plan, you and Ryan and the family think about where you want to go. Now you have young kids, and I actually have older kids that could take me on vacation, but you still have to plan for your kids and where you're going to go. Do you think of it as like let's roughly Disney World, or do you think for yourselves, let's go somewhere else and enjoy as adults?
Sure. Well, with little kids, you have to remember it's not a vacation. It's a trip. It's taking your life and making it slightly harder for yourself and more limited with the things that you have and putting yourselves in a different situation. But no, it's fun.
It's funny, right? Taking your life and making it harder because now you're in a hotel room or an Airbnb.
Where nobody's going to sleep.
Nobody is comfortable because they've never been here before. And you go, why do we do this, Ryan?
I think it's a great question because I think we try to balance it so that everybody's getting something out of it. But obviously, they don't have any real control of the situation, so you kind of have to give them a lot more of what's going to entertain them and give them a good time. I'm very intimidated by Disney World because I'm not a huge Disney World person.
Yeah.
I feel like if you love it, then obviously you're gonna go and plan it with your family. It's a lot of planning, and I want to do it at some point. Very expensive. But I think, at least at this point right now, we like to go places that we all will enjoy and that, Ryan and I want to visit too. Like, we just went to England and Ireland.
Yes.
And that was a big trip for us. And that's mainly because Ryan really wanted to go because he'd never been. And I had been before and, of course, loved to go. So
let's do it again.
It would be great to share that experience with my family, and it was. And the kids were really excited about it. I mean, my oldest is 6, so he gets it. And he was very interested in what we were going to be doing there, what we were going to be seeing there, all the transportation, the buses, all of that stuff.
Right.
The little one is 2 and has no idea what's going on and is totally happy with that.
Right.
So,
did they enjoy the food? There's a difference in food, obviously. Can they roll with it?
I mean, there's kids stuff in any major city.
Okay.
They're just living on French fries. They're just calling it chips there,
Right. Fair enough.
So, they're maybe willing to try a little bit of something, but you can always get similar snacks and stuff there. But I think I still remember waking up that morning. We took a flight out that was leaving at 7 a.m., so we had to leave our house at 4 a.m., I think, or something like that. And we both woke up when the clock went off, exhausted, and we're looking at each other, and we're like, what the hell are we doing? We're going to take these 2 kids, get on a plane for 7 hours, and be in another country with them.
Yeah.
But we're like, you know what?
It's too late now.
You just got to do it. You just got to do it. And I'm very glad that we did, because of course there were stressful parts, but we were in it together. And I think that it's a great experience as a family navigating that sort of thing together. And I think that they learn a lot from it too. Like, I'm glad that they'll be able to be familiar with traveling to different places and doing different things with different people, to not be scared of doing those things as they get older.
You think the people that facilitated your travel at the airports and hotels or Airbnbs were cooperative and friendly?
Yeah, because my 2-year-old was awful on the flight over. He did not want to wear his seatbelt, and he had to wear a seatbelt.
So
and it was very early in the morning, so it was not wonderful, but we made it through, and everybody on our flights, they were all very kind. And I do think I was actually surprised that people were a lot more patient and kind to us during our travels, even with TSA and everything like that. I think because we had the kids, because everyone gets it. You're just trying to get from one place to the other and survive.
You have to go through TSA in the kids walking themselves through, or do you hold them and take them through?
It's like a combination of things. I mean, with the little one, you can kind of get through together, but and then sometimes they had to go on their own. But yeah, equal parts fun and exhausting, which I imagine is exactly how Disney World would be too, but just a lot more money and lines.
I went once a long time ago when the kids were young, perhaps 10 and 11, and we spent a week. That's a long time to be in a park. But
it's so huge. I feel like
it is.
You have to.
Totally. So now, here's a question that I'm interested in, and it probably would reveal how you think about giving your kids like a major experience instead of Disney World, or even going on a plane to Ireland. Would you ever go camping with them and put them in a tent, or that's not your thing?
I would do it, maybe. It's not my thing.
Okay.
I mean, I'm okay. I love the outdoors.
Right.
But like, there's a reason we have hotels and beds.
Exactly. Totally. Okay.
And I mean, my oldest child would be miserable.
Oh, he would.
Yeah, I can just picture. There would be bugs everywhere.
There would be bugs. I know that's a big issue for you.
And that's what I'd have to be dealing with.
Which is why you were choosing winter over summer, because of bugs.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
You said that, and I said, really? I love summer, but I'm going to go for winter because there are bugs. And
I mean, I do think it would be fun to do with them when they're a little bit older. Maybe it would.
Yeah.
Maybe it would make me think of it differently. I don't know.
Well, the only way...
You went camping a bunch with
I liked it. I liked it because I had a friend who had a photographer. So he was a nature photographer, so you had to be out in nature. And not the first year, I got married in 1970. So in 1972, he says, let's go up to Alaska. We're going to camp. Nobody had a lot of money, so we just took our tent and cameras and tripods, and off we went. And here I am in a tent in Alaska, and in a campground where bears were walking through and caribou were walking through, moose, not caribou. And I had never seen anything like it. It's like camping out in a zoo, but there's no fences. So I get goose pimples when I think about that experience, and I said to myself, I got to take the kids at one point so they can experience a true wildlife experience. So, but at this stage in my life, it's all 4-star hotels, concierge. Can you make a reservation for us over there on that side of town? And not.
Did you go on vacations as a child?
my parents came over from Germany after the war, so nobody had any money. Nobody had any sense of humor. Nobody had anything. So when we went out for a vacation, usually a week, we went up to Lake Placid. It was like a big
So you did go somewhere. I mean,
Bolton Landing, and we went to Bolton Landing for 10 years in a row.
That's nice, though.
Yeah, it was a thing. You remember those Chris Craft mahogany boats that were super shiny, that they're cruisers and they're lake boats.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being on the back of one, had a little American flag sticking up off the back, stern and transom. And it was just a great time in my life to be, and it was so simple. We did nothing but just take a boat trip across on whatever it was, probably Lake Placid, but at Bolton Landing. But nothing. We never went anywhere.
I mean, that's somewhere.
It is somewhere, but it's not like I take my kids to Spain
but I
and
don't
to
think, I mean,
Germany.
I think as long as you're traveling, because I mean, we would go out east, my family, every year. We would go out to Montauk and stay in a little hotel and do beach and mini golf, and
that was it.
That was it, you know?
That is fun.
But we never really went anywhere besides that. I went to Disney World once when I was 7. But
yes.
there were 3 of us, so it was
a lot.
tricky to travel. But, we went to Connecticut to visit family every single month, and that I always thought of as a decent road trip.
Who's up there? Still in Connecticut?
Yeah, all my mom's family. That's where she's from, and that's where they are. But, I mean, traveling off of Long Island could take anywhere from 2 to 7 hours.
Oh,
so
just to get out of the gravitational pull of Long Island.
Is quite a travel experience,
Yeah, nothing goes fast on Long Island. Nothing. If you think you're going to drive to New Jersey for a photo shoot, which is what we do in our business, and you say, hey, I'll be there in a couple hours, no, it's 4.5 hours to get where you're going.
Exactly. And we just went to Legoland this past weekend, which really was our first amusement park trip. We did Splish Splash this past summer.
Yeah, was that fun?
It was fun. I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't been there since I was tiny, but it was really nice.
So you're going in a pool with floating with thousands of people? And I'm just curious here.
You sound really excited about it.
I went there with my kids and another group of families with kids. It was recent, it was 2 years ago, and I don't know why I went, but I went.
How did they talk you into it?
Well, I guess we're meeting another family that had young kids, and I saw them all get into these inflatables and then just sort of roll down the river.
Sure, the lazy river, yeah.
The lazy, right, and I'm thinking, gee, I can't see this happening to me, where I'm in a river with maybe
bumping your feet into some stranger.
Yeah, 1,000 people that I've never met in the same contained water system. No,
yeah.
I'm going to pass on that.
I mean, I remember it being fun as a kid. I must have been a little bit older than my kids, but that ride in particular sounds like such a relaxing thing.
Yes.
But really it is very crowded. So you are bumping into people. And then my 6-year-old didn't want to be in his own float.
No.
So was on top of me.
Yes.
But still trying to grab other floats and basically
almost sinking you.
Trying to tip us over every 5 seconds. So it was the most
stressful.
Yeah, it was not relaxing at all. But they had fun with the little slides and all that stuff, and
yeah,
it didn't feel too crowded, so
well,
not too bad. But Legoland was awesome. But walking around there, we were saying, I don't know that we could handle Disney World. It's so much bigger than
it is.
A little park
well,
like that.
Handle it just because of its size.
Its size, and you have to plan all your meals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like to
just show
relax
up
and go with the flow a little bit. You
right.
plan it so much. And you see where it goes. Especially with kids, because you don't even know what they're going to be doing at certain points.
I got it. So if you and Ryan wanted to go, let's say you're 10th wedding anniversary,
Which is in 2 years, actually.
which is in 2 years.
Yeah.
And then you say to your mom, look, you take the kids. Maybe you won't, maybe you take the kids, but let's say you just wanted to get away.
Mm-hmm.
Would you go here in the United States, or would you travel?
Ideally, if there's someone to watch our children, we would go.
Most people would
if
say...
if anyone wants to watch them,
Yeah, most
please
people would say,
send,
no.
Send us an email.
We're good.
But we do want to go to Paris because both of us have never been. And not just Paris, but outside of the city and go maybe into southern France too. But he's never been to Italy. So we want to do that as well. And it's interesting because I have family way back from France and he has family way back from Italy. And so it would be really cool to go to the cities that they were from and
See that? Yeah, no,
yeah.
that's wonderful.
because it's a weird connection once we start going back to the ancestry and everything.
Would find myself going back to Paris once a year if I had the wherewithal to do it.
Is that one of your favorite trips ever?
Well, for our listeners, we have, I have a couple that I'm close to, and they invite their friends to go wherever they end up going. Obviously, they're pretty well off, so there's usually a cast of 30 people that they invite with them to go wherever they're going. So if they're going to go to Colonial Williamsburg, we all go. If we're going to go to New Orleans, they take 30 people to New Orleans and plan the meals and the wine, and then there's tour buses to show where the Ninth Ward was with Hurricane Katrina, where the water went up and all of that. So when you come out of one of their visits, you know a lot about the region, and we've been on 5 of these trips. So the last 2 years ago, they invited us to Paris for one of their birthdays, 60th birthday. So once again, there was 30 people involved, friends and family, and we went to. They had 2 tour groups. One was a kind of a historical tour group. If you wanted to hear the history of the West Bank and the East Bank and the bridges that cross over. And then there was another tour group that would just talk about architecture, and this is Roman and this is that, and you could choose which group.
That's amazing.
And I found that to be, I got goose pimples when I think about it, because there's so much to find and learn about in Paris. And then we went to the Cathedral of Notre Dame, which had burned down, and they were frantically building it for the Olympics this year, which they got finished. So I see the Eiffel Tower, and I had to live out, this is the last thing, I'm going to move on. You remember that movie with Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton, and it's Something's Gotta Give, and he loves her, but he plays around with all the women, and she knows that he's a playboy. So she goes to Paris with Keanu Reeves, who's going to ask her to marry him, and he's in New York, and he finds out that she's in Paris, but he doesn't know that Keanu is there, so he flies to Paris and sees her in this restaurant, Petit Colbert, which is a restaurant that Missy and I went to. I had to relive that moment as if it were me in the scene, and Missy was my Diane Keaton. So anyway, he goes over there. I'm going to make this short, or can I? So he goes over there, and she's alone because Keanu's in the bathroom. And he goes, well, what do you know? I found you. I know this is your favorite restaurant. And he says, well, I want to tell you something. And he was going to say that I love you and I'd like to marry you. But Keanu comes back with a diamond ring because he's going to engage her at that moment. So typical Jack Nicholson, he goes, okay. And he says, I'll leave. I know you guys have important things to discuss. And they insist that he stay. And he gives her the engagement ring, and Diane Keaton is writhing in being uncomfortable because she really loves Jack Nicholson, but she has to take the ring from Keanu and pretend it's something really meaningful to her. And it's a scene, it's iconic. And they leave the restaurant, and he says, you guys get the first cab. And they do. And then he walks to the bridge, and he's looking down at the Seine and all these boats. It's midnight, and the boats are going, and there's music flying up from, and it's truly a romantic city. The street lights are very romantic, and there's low lighting everywhere, and the architecture is romantic, and these people are kissing on these long boats that are going under the bridge, and he's looking down, and he just realizes that the love of his life was lost to Keanu because he gave her an engagement ring. And then it starts to snow, and he looks up as if he's looking to God, and he goes, "What's next?" And then he hears a car door slam, and it's Diane Keaton. He goes, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be with Keanu Reeves." And she goes, "He saw in my eyes that I loved you." So he said, "Go find him. And I knew you'd be here. Only in Hollywood, right?" So he says, "If this is true, then my life has been made." And he kisses her. So when I went there 2 years ago, I had the dinner at Petit Colbert, and then I insisted Missy and I walk to that bridge, and I said, it's right at the top of the bridge, right? And the bridge is arced, and I'm at the top of the arc, and who's going to take that picture of me kissing her? So I had to get some 18-year-old kids that also kissing, 18-year-old kids kissing. I had to interrupt them as an old guy and say, "Excuse me, but would you mind taking a picture?" And they actually were disturbed, and they said, "Of what?" And I said, "My wife is standing there." They didn't see my wife standing 20 feet away. I said, "I'm going to kiss her. I wondered if you would take the picture." And the guy pushed me away with his finger, like motion for me to get away. And his girlfriend, 18-year-old girlfriend, said, "Stop it. I'm taking the picture." And because she was romantic. And she walked back 20 feet, and I put Missy in my arms and I kissed her, and I have that picture. And it is, so I wish that for everyone that goes to Paris, that you could have that moment. Okay.
That's really sweet. And I hope nobody wanted to watch that movie who hadn't seen it before.
That pretty much, was that a spoiler?
I know, we should have spoiler alerted that one. We'll just insert that in after we record.
Of course, there are a lot of you that are going, "Wow, why would he go there? I'd rather go to Cambodia and see the rice fields." Fine. But
you do you.
Yeah, you do you. I hijacked again. I didn't want to.
I mean, it's a beautiful story.
What about doing your own planning, or would you go to a travel agency?
Oh, I would plan it myself. But I do think if we did Paris, we would do it like that too, where we do a history tour or something like that, or a local tour guide or something.
I have the tour guide for you.
Perfect.
I really do.
Okay, great.
So
I feel like if it's somewhere where I don't speak the language well and I don't have somebody that I know there to guide me around, then I want to have somebody who knows what's up.
We found, unlike the way we were prepped, that the French people don't really bend to try to help you understand them, because they understand better English than they let on, and you're kind of like grappling with how am I going to communicate. Mm-hmm. We did not find that. We found everyone spoke English, and we couldn't have been more generous in how they treated us.
That's great.
And we took a side trip, which wasn't far, a couple of hours to go up to Normandy. We went to Normandy, and everyone should put that on their list at one point in their life. But if you want to have a great time, to combine that, because it is so overwhelming.
Yeah.
That you can't reconcile a vacation by going, "Hey, let's go to Paris and have some wine," and then, "Oh, let's go to Normandy and go to the cemetery." No, but you should go there because it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
So, okay. On that note,
do you have any trips planned?
Missy wants to go. Insists that I take her to Greece.
Ooh, good one.
Well, I don't have a bucket list because I believe that I have been to all these places, Madrid and Copenhagen.
Oh, this list that you've been to all these places?
Yes.
You went to Egypt?
No. I put on a few. See, you would have to pick the one thing out, but you go to Paris, Florence,
I feel
London.
like I would have remembered the Egypt story.
Yeah, no, I haven't been to Egypt. I don't
and
like.
Cambodia is on here.
I don't like heat.
So you wouldn't. So your ideal vacation would not be to a
No, we could.
destination?
I had tickets to go to the United Arab Emirates because one of our clients was there, and I asked my son to go, Brett, because he doesn't care, right? And I know it's just landing on Air Egypt. You get out of the plane, it's 120 degrees. You think you're on fire, and then you get on a camel. And no, I'm not doing it. So I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
Okay, that's fair.
But I've been to all the other places.
Yeah.
I don't have a bucket list.
So there isn't one
But
place right now that you're really.
I wanted to go to Norway. I'm running out of stories. And
Are you?
One of the things, like if I had to do stand up, I wouldn't be able to do jokes because I don't remember funny jokes. I remember stories, and I get into the weeds with the stories. So I have pretty much shared my stories with everyone multiple times where they're looking at me going, really, I heard that. Mm-hmm. And my poor wife, who just shakes her head when I launch into something. Does that happen with Ryan? Does he tell a story that you've heard a million times? No. Does he tell stories? No. Let's start with that. You've been married for 8 years.
Yeah, and I don't know. When you have little kids and you're running around,
you don't even think about
talk to each other yet.
Well,
I know we totally repeat stories to each other.
Things that are important to you, you repeat.
Yeah.
But I'm running out of stories, so I said to Missy, I'd like to go. She went to see a friend in Sequim, Washington State, up on the Canadian border up there, and she went for a week to see her brother's. Her brother passed away, but her brother's wife. And I said, go for a week, knock yourself out, enjoy yourself. And so I told her I want to go away alone to Norway.
Oh, that's on my list too.
And go to a fjord and not have it be a fancy Ritz-Carlton vacation, but actually live in a B&B, or, well, maybe that's going too far, but I would live in an apartment over a bar. Oh. And then get up in the morning and go out on the boats and take pictures and say to the guys, I'll give you the pictures for free. Mm-hmm. Let me do that. And they'd say, all right, come on board. So I want to live for a month in a place like Greenland or Norway, and then come back, and then I'm good for another 50 years of stories.
I have so many podcasts.
So yeah, no,
I'll fly over and visit you.
In Norway? Or Greenland's easier because it's closer.
It is closer.
But you...
Yeah, because you're going to be there for a month.
That's correct.
So we'll come over.
I think that's
and record our podcast stuff.
Do it on a live podcast on location.
On the fjord. Well, that's different in Norway, but...
Well, let's think about that. Coffee break on location. That's the term. That's the title. Coffee break on location.
That's right. That'll be ours for 100 followers.
If I was there for a month, in the first 2 weeks, I get a lay of the land, and then could say, you and Ryan come over. I got this laid out, and
you'll watch the kids, and we'll.
I would, but Cormac would not have it. Would not have it. Otherwise, I would. So if he and I were tight, I would do that.
Maybe that'll be the time.
And Owen, I have no problems with. He's a different cat altogether.
Yeah, I'll go with anybody.
So that.
Well, that's exciting, and Greece is exciting too. If you guys are going to go there.
Yeah, she wants to go. Missy wants to go to Greece, and I would go back to Paris, and it's just a place that it's just so romantic. Even if you're not romantic and you walk on the streets at night, there are little like teardrop lamps, and then there's the Louvre and the beautiful architecture. And I.M. Pei designed the pyramid that stands over the rotunda where the paintings are, and there's just something about the place. And then all the croissants you could possibly want, And then the coffee is strong, like you can have a year's supply of caffeine in one cup when you have coffee in France.
Incredible.
And
So was that your favorite trip? I mean, it's hard to pick favorites, but
now I have a favorite, and it's So you're letting me tell a story here, and I don't want.
I'm curious. I don't have to. I mean, we've been talking for a while on this one, but let's keep going.
We over the allotted time.
I mean, we don't have an allotted
We don't have
time.
and we can, right.
This could be a very special episode.
But I had been to Alaska 13 times, and in those 13 times I was able to see the west side, the middle, which is Denali, the very northern part, way up on the Arctic Circle, beyond the Arctic Circle, and then, but not south. I haven't been to Juneau, which is the capital. I for some reason I didn't want to go to tourist places, but I've been to the other three major points. And over the years, with my friend Charlie, I went to 10 trips with him, and then I said, I'm going to condense the best of these 10 trips and bring my family, because I know now what to see and how to get these public use cabins. So when you go to Alaska, on the Resurrection Bay down by Homer, they have these little fjords and all these glaciers that are calving and these stellar sea lions that jump up on the ice. And the state of Alaska puts cabins, A-frame cabins, looks really quite modern with big glass windows, and they have a kind of like an emergency run up the stairs and pop down a piece of wood, so if a bear jumps into the cabin, you have a place to go in the cabin and not be eaten by the bear. It's actually quite unnerving when they explain that to you. So, but the public use cabins have to be by a what do they call that? A lottery. You have to put in for it. And we got the lottery, and we go with Alex and Brett, my son, and my wife. We take a plane, a float plane that lands in this fjord and drops us off at the public use cabin. We're all alone. We're 1,100 miles from civilization. And the guy says, look, if you have like a appendicitis attack or if you have a heart attack, you're probably not going to make it. Have fun. And living like that, you go, okay. And so you have to bring your own food and you have to take everything out. And so we're there, and we're there for 3 days. And you just
How old are your kids?
I believe 11 and 10.
Okay.
10 and 11.
Got it.
And they're there, and they think this is the great thing. There's glaciers calving at night. You hear the chunks of ice, and then you see the sea lions floating close to the shore. Then a bear walks in front of the cabin, a 1,400-pound bear that you go, oh my God. And then there's no bathroom in the cabin. You have to go to an outhouse. And so...
No thanks.
Exactly. So guys can just stand on the porch of the cabin and go to the bathroom, but women have to go to the outhouse, and they say make a lot of noise because that scares the bears away. So I gave Missy some bear bells. So at night she would walk to the outhouse, which was like 30 feet away, and I could hear the bells, and she was so frightened. She almost couldn't go to the bathroom because she was too frightened. So exactly. So when I think of that trip, I think of the raw emotion of having a wilderness experience with my family, and having to chop wood and make a fire in order to cook something, and it just really impressed on me how surviving is not easy, even when you have a cabin that's made for you, and I find that to be one of the seminal moments.
Yeah.
So I've had other moments, of course, in travel,
Sure.
where we're at a Ritz-Carlton with a king-size bed.
Right. But that one has stuck with you.
That has stuck with me.
Yeah.
But I can't see you now. Looking at you, I can't see it.
You can't see me doing that.
I just can't.
I mean,
A float plane.
I guess
landing.
When I was in high school and college, I went to Nicaragua, so I've been there 3 times, and I went with
Students for 10,000.
Yeah, for 60,000.
Yeah, when I was young, it used to be 10,000.
Yeah, so it was a humanitarian service group, and we went to work with the schools down there, and we slept outside on cots. Yeah, me. I slept outside on cots, and we had to bring our own little sleeping bag that we made out of a sheet because it's hot and we couldn't travel with anything big.
Nothing big.
And so we would have that on our little cot, and then the bees would be like buzzing around you in the morning, so you hide from them and all that.
Let's do that again. 3 more times.
Yeah.
2 more times. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I stayed in someone's house on a cot once and woke up and there were chickens just under my cot.
Yes.
Yeah. It turned out they'd been sleeping there the whole night.
But they were quiet when you first got into bed.
Yeah, and then they were not.
Did they have lights, or it was
no
lights?
There were no lights in there. It was just a cement house, and yeah, I mean it was eye-opening to young little me from Long Island.
Totally.
And
15?
I was 16 for the first trip, 17 for the second one, and then I went with a college group when I graduated from college, so I was 21. And that was a bit of a different trip because we were going to museums and colleges and more in the community and in the cities and stuff, and getting a little bit more of a cultural experience than a service experience, which was amazing. And I would do it again. I would love to go to another country in Central America or South America.
Really? Dominican Republic, stuff like.
There's a lot of really interesting history down there and a lot of fun culture.
Well, I would also push Vienna as a destination. It's Austrian, it's German.
Yeah, I would go there.
And they have, John Williams, who does the Star Wars soundtrack, is going to conduct the Vienna Philharmonic on December 5th. Oh. And I said to Missy, why don't we go? Because we went a couple of years ago, it's 4 years now. Just watching Channel 13, they have every year a free concert in Austria, in Vienna. Mm-hmm. And there's always some major opera singer that is featured along with the Vienna Philharmonic. And it is at the this castle, and it can seat. The grounds are so big that they can take 100,000. It's the largest outdoor concert in all of Europe. So it's always at the end of May, and I was watching it on Channel 13 in June, and I said to Missy, "We're going to be there next year in May. Just so you know, I'm going to this concert. It's an open air concert. It's free. No payment. And people come from all over Europe, and they line up at 3 gates, and there's seating for 20,000. Think of the chairs. There's seating for 20,000. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, Missy, well, I'm going to get online because it starts at 7 o'clock. I think we should be online at 2 o'clock so that we can be seated. Otherwise, you're up in the kind of the hills, the stepped hills, that just sitting in grass. I said, I don't want to sit in grass. I want to sit. So Missy says, okay. So we get online at 2 o'clock, and they open up the gates at 5 o'clock. So we're way in the back, but still relatively forward. I said, a piece of cake. But I forgot about the other 2 entrances. And so when we got there, the couple in front of us who we'd been talking to were told by the guard, all they do is ask, do you have any weapons or firearms? That's all. Nobody gets frisked or something. You have any weapons? You have like a rocket launcher? No. So the guy says, you'll be the last person to have seats. I'm right behind them. And Missy and I are listening to this going, what did he just say? To the couple in front of us, they're going to be the last ones to have seats because all the seats, 20,000, 30,000 seats were taken. Apparently they keep track. So we got in there at around 6 o'clock by the time we were seated in the grass. And then we were seated next to an Irish couple. And we fell in love with them, they fell in love with us, and we've since visited them in Dublin.
I love that.
And I want to go, that was in May, it's a free concert. But this December, there is John Williams conducting the Philharmonic for Star Wars. Wow. And he's almost 100. This will be the last time you'll see him in public. Yeah. And Missy said no. So we can't go. She said, we've been there, Jeff. Why do you want to go again? And
she said, we've done this before.
We've done this.
We're going to Greece.
Precisely. She's stubborn. She's like you.
She knows.
Irish people. You can't get them off the mark. I don't have anything else. What do we talk about? An hour and a half here?
I don't know. No one's listening anymore.
No one. People have signed off on this.
This is a long one. This is a very special welcome back episode.
Yeah. Well,
we've had a lot that we haven't had time to talk about because we haven't.
Precisely. The next one we're going to be a little bit more concise and buttoned up.
Yeah,
but
just 2 minutes. That'll be the next one.
In and out. You having a good time? Having a good time. Okay. See you next time, Mary. This is a way for Mary and I to catch up too. So, all right. I guess we say this is a wrap.
Yeah.
And
until next time.
Until next time.
Back to work.